Not everyone should be using Google Ads. They're just not ready for it. They don't have the business in place to really handle the power. They don't have a repeatable sales process, no sales scripting. It's just a broken process. They just don't have the budget to compete with everyone else in the market. Just because you want to spend $500 a month does not mean that is a market appropriate budget. Google Ads is drinking from a fire hose. If you don't know your shit, you're going to get run over real quick. And Google is ruthless with taking money from people that don't understand what they're doing. The first place someone can really make an impact is answer your phone. And if you do miss the call, call them back immediately. If you get a form submission in, call that person within 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 5 minutes. Yeah. 5 minutes is a lot that happens in 5 minutes. That person's also trying to get quotes from 2 other companies within 5 minutes. You just have to get in with where you fit in. If you don't have a budget, you are the budget, and you've got to go out and talk to people and make it happen. Work on your sales process. Get a little bit better. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but the reality is it's a massive difference in the size of your business. The reality is in a market where click cost is, let's say, $20 per click, you've got to have what's called the Google Ads golden ratio. And essentially what that is
All right, guys, welcome again to Marketing Hot Takes, a show where we skip the fluff and get straight to what's actually working right now in marketing and business growth. I'm Rodney Lamar, your host, and I'm joined someone who has mastered the art and science of lead generation. Mr. Ed Stapleton Jr. is the co-founder and CEO of Clicks Geek, a Google Premier Partner agency specializing in generating high-quality leads for home service businesses and others. Now, over the past 10 years, Clicks Geeks has built and managed over 10,000 PPC campaigns and delivered millions of leads for their clients across the country. But Ed also has an interesting background because he acquires, grows, and sells service companies, including a crime scene cleanup business, a CPR business, and a PO brokerage. So that gives him a rare hands-on understanding of the service industry operations beyond just marketing. Ed, appreciate having you on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. What an intro. You pumped me up, man.
We try over here. We try, man. So tell me, man, what's your take?
Not everyone should be using Google Ads.
Okay. This is a new one. Tell me why.
Hey guys, I wanted to pause real quick and take a moment to thank our sponsor, All Booked Up. For you marketing agencies out there, most of you are losing clients between 6 and 12 months into the relationship, and it's rarely because of lack of leads. Many times it's because your clients don't have an effective system in place to call those leads quickly and book those appointments onto their schedule. And that's where All Booked Up comes in. All Booked Up is a white label appointment setting service agencies can add to their offer. ABU takes the leads that your agency generates for your clients and turns them into real, qualified, and confirmed appointments and books them directly onto their calendar. If you want to increase client satisfaction, lower churn, and boost your revenue, visit abufораgencies.com. Back to the conversation.
Yeah, you'd think as someone having sold 10,000 of them, you think I'd be really pro Google Ads, but the reality is a lot of companies they're just not ready for it. They don't have the business in place to really handle the power. Typically what we come across is broken sales process. They don't have a repeatable sales process, no sales scripting. They don't have, you know this better than anybody. They don't follow up. They don't answer calls. It's just a broken process.
No.
Next is they don't know their numbers. They don't know their gross profit. They don't know their sales conversion ratio of how many leads it takes to get a sale. And then last is budget. They just don't have the budget to compete with everyone else in the market.
Okay. So if they shouldn't be running, if those things disqualify them, right? And they shouldn't be running ads, Google ads, what should they be doing?
It depends. So you have to do a diagnostic, figure out what's working, what's not working. It could be Facebook ads, it could be SEO, it could be bandit signs. It really is dependent on lots of different things going on in that specific business.
Yeah. So where do you see this show up the most often in is it that the clients come to you and they're just misinformed, or do you believe that the marketing industry as a whole is just kind of leading people to believe that it doesn't matter what you have, you could just come in, put money in, get money out? Like, where are people being misled to think this?
Yes, and yes. Part of it's how things are sold in the market, and then part of it is just delusion on the business owner's part, where they think they have, we get, 500 leads a month that come in. About half of them are automatically disqualified because of budget. You have to have a market appropriate budget. Just because you want to spend $500 a month does not mean that is a market appropriate budget. $500 a month is roughly $20 to $30 a day, depending on how many days per week you're going to advertise. Some market click costs are $20 or $30. So what are we going for? A single click per day? That's not a market appropriate budget. So the reality is in a market where click cost is, let's say, $20 per click, you've got to have we call the golden ratio, the Google Ads golden ratio. And essentially what that is you need at least 4 or 5 clicks per day to produce that lead. And we hope that your job value is high enough, your customer lifetime value is high enough so that you get enough of a return on a monthly basis. So you basically have to figure out when I go back to know your numbers, you have to know what your customer lifetime value is. You got to know how many leads it takes to get a sale. And then you just back into it and really understand that Google Ads is drinking from a fire hose. It's very competitive. If you don't know your shit, if you don't know your shit, you're going to get run over real quick. And Google is ruthless with taking money from people that don't understand what they're doing. So you have to know your numbers. You have to have scripting in place. You have to answer the phone. You have to have a repeatable sales process. You have to follow up. You have to know what your average job value is, how many leads it's going to take to get a sale. And again, Google Ads is not right for everybody. So a lot of the people we speak to, we turn away because we just don't think they're the best fit for the Google Ads platform because it's just too expensive for them. And they just don't really have the infrastructure in place to succeed.
Yeah. I think that's been the case. What we've seen with our agency partners is that, absolutely a lot of their clients aren't really dialed in. They have pieces of the puzzle. A lot of them are really good at what they do. They're flush with cash, but eventually that'll catch up with them. That they don't have that part really dialed in. They don't really know their numbers as well as they think they do, and so stuff starts slipping through the cracks. And it eventually it wears off the success that you'll have with Google Ads. So talk to me about like the people that don't qualify to work with you guys, who don't have all of these locked in. How can they get caught up? How can they get up to speed so that they can start working with an agency like yours? Where do they begin? Where's that education begin for them?
All right, ready for this? Just pick up your phone. You know this literally better than anybody. How many calls go unanswered? Typically, when we have a client come in and say the leads aren't effective or it's not working, we go back into CallRail and we start screening calls. And the biggest thing we see is they don't pick up the phone. So I'd say the first place someone can really make an impact is answer your phone. And if you do miss the call them back immediately. If you get a form submission in, call that person within 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a stretch. 5 minutes is long.
Yeah.
5 minutes is a lot that happens in 5 minutes. That person's also trying to get quotes from 2 other companies within 5 minutes. They want someone to pick up the phone. So literally, time is of the essence. Pick up your phone. If it's a form submission lead, call that person immediately. Drop what you're doing, assuming that you're not on a ladder, but call that person immediately. From there, I would record your calls. If you're in a state that allows for call recording, record your calls. Start documenting your process. If you're totally new to this, what you can do is transcribe those calls. Mm-hmm. Take all those transcriptions, throw them up in a ChatGPT, tell them about your business. Say, hey, Chat, I run a painting business. Here are some here are some inbound call transcriptions. Please help me develop a sales process around setting an appointment. That's basics. That could take you 5 minutes to do, and that would have a huge impact because once you have a repeatable process of how you answer your phones, you can then put someone else in place to answer the phone calls for you, which frees up more time to work on the next part of your business, which would be develop your sales process, get better, become a sharper axe in selling. So if you're selling 1 out of 10, try to sell 2 out of 10. That's a 50% increase or 100% increase. And you could literally double your business just from getting a little bit better in your sales process. So I'd say those are 2 big things. I'm assuming you have some leads coming in already. If you don't, go out and network your butt off. Go make bandit signs, put those things everywhere, and just work your tail off. Read a book on read guerrilla marketing. Learn how to do boots on the ground marketing. You just have to get in with where you fit in. If you don't have a budget, you are the budget, and you've got to go out and talk to people and make it happen. So if I were to say, where does someone start if they don't have the budget? I would say, number 1, answer your calls, pick up the phone. If it's a form submission, get on it ASAP. And number 2, work on your sales process, get a little bit better. Like 1 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but you've literally doubled your business.
Yeah.
It's not that big. It doesn't seem like a big deal because it's really not, But the reality is it's a massive difference in the size of your business. And people don't think like that. People don't think like, if I went from 100 leads to 110 leads and just 10% increases, 10% increases is a 33.5% increase in top line revenue and significantly more on the bottom line. People don't think like that. They think, oh, 1 to 2, not that big of a deal, but it's literally like doubling, tripling the business as you do these small incremental changes.
Yeah. I feel like it's a mindset shift that people have to have.
Yep.
Business owners have to have. And once they make that mindset shift, then like all this other stuff is open to them, right? They can make other changes. The leap doesn't seem so far, and really it is really what's in your mind. You're limiting yourself. So like you said, just being super and hyper vigilant about answering every call, like no matter what. It's a grind, but just do it. And then once you get that done, you establish a process, delegate that out, and then be okay with delegating that out. Because I think that people just don't want to let go of the phones. Like they feel like they have to manage that part, but they don't. They need to absolutely let somebody else run that part. But then after you've delegated that out, pivot to something else and put all your energy and effort into making that really good and prove it out to yourself. So that's another thing I've seen, that people establish processes in their business that are not validated.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds good. Like you said, we could use ChatGPT, but we obviously know that we have to test that and see if it actually works. Just not take it for.
You're right. I shouldn't add that caveat in there. It's all you do absolutely have to test it. Let me give you some context on when we crack lead generation in Clicks Geek, our agency. That's when things really took off for us. We went position by position because it was just Rob and I. My partner Rob, an absolute beast. If you've ever looked up Google Ads training on YouTube, I'm sure you've seen that dude's face. He's everywhere on YouTube. So we went position by position. It was just two of us for years. We cracked lead generation. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're on to something now. And we had to go backfill, remove us. He was back of house. I was front of house. I was sales, customer management, finance. He was operations and handling the campaigns and edits and changes and landing pages and call rail and all that. And we went, I didn't think, to go back to what you said about hiring someone to answer calls, I didn't think anyone would be able to understand all the niches. So we were in white label for so long. So we were in hundreds, easily 100, 200 different niches and sub niches over the years. So I just have this weird encyclopedic knowledge around niches and calls to action and customer values and click costs. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to teach a salesperson how to do this. And it like fried my brain. But we met with Stuart Trier, longtime coach of mine, an absolute beast. If any agency ever needs any help, Stuart Trier is the man. But we sat with him. We've been coaching with him since 2017. And I went niche by niche by niche by niche by niche and wrote little bits of information to start pulling out everything from my head, all the tribal knowledge onto paper. And then we broke the sales process into niche knowledge, industry knowledge, and then our actual sales process and sales training. So you break it into 3 different stages so that the person, Justin, who is our director of sales, could get comfortable. And he knew how to sell, but he didn't know Google Ads. He didn't know the niches. So you literally have to create these libraries of this library of information. So same would apply if you were hiring in, say, foundation repair or painting or landscaping. You've got to give the person some sales knowledge. You've got to give them scripting. You've got to give them some insight into the actual niche itself so that they can speak the language. So there's some fluency there when you're talking with the customer. But once we did that, I was always like, man, I know this shit so well. No one's gonna be able to sell it like me. I went from closing 20, 30 deals a month to him closing 40 to 60 a month. And it took me a second to realize he's doing this 100% of the time. And me selling was a fraction of the time. So that person only needs to be partially as good as you are because they're putting 100% of their time towards it versus mine was split effort amongst other things going on in the agency. So but once we did that, then it freed us up to then work on the account management role and the finance piece, and Rob for us to hire PPC managers and landing page builders and optimizers. And you just start piecing things off in the business, find out where the squeaky wheel is, give it the oil, aka hire for that role. Once you've hired for that role, what's the next thing you want to take off your plate? What's the next thing? Or one way to think about it is take it off your plate or What's closest to revenue? Where's the
Yeah.
bottleneck? There's different ways, different sayings
Yeah.
to think about it, but that's how you have to think about it. And you just go piece by piece, and it takes time. But once it happens, you can free yourself up to do other things in the business and be more strategic. And the proverbial work on your business, not work in your business. That only works when you have employees in place and team members in place that are crushing it, that have good SOPs, good training, and then the confidence that comes from you to trust them to do the work.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway here is that systems are needed in order to grow and sustain a business.
100%.
And that's true both in the home service industry or in the service industry in general,
Yep.
and also for their agencies, the agencies that are working with them, right? I think this is a deeper conversation that we would love to have you on a future episode. But if somebody wants to reach out to you now and talk to you, what's the best way that they can get in contact with you to talk more about these systems and more about what's working with Google PPC?
Yeah, edit clicksgeek.com or Instagram, Ed Stapleton Jr. It's mainly videos of me just lifting weights on there, but that, and then I'm posting some business content, but those are my two big places.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate having you on, Ed, and we hope to have you on again pretty soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So that is the end of today's episode. And before we close, just a quick reminder, this episode is sponsored by All Booked Up. For all you agencies out there who are looking to connect, abuforagencies.com. Take care.